if this ever happens to you where you have to leave, go ahead and go, I don't know how y'all do it. Go to that Canvas deal of mine. However y'all do that, get on there and see if you can get on my class. It's second period, or period 2. Just do me a favor, just please do it real quick, just so I make sure. Because I don't know how y'all do it. And I think you just, if you're ever gone, if you have to leave, you just have to check into it every day. And that's how your attendance. And I put Tuesdays and Thursdays, no more y'all won't give a crap, and I put the little videos up there about what we're talking about for the quiz deal. If you ever want to have access to that, if y'all have to leave. Or if what I want to have happen doesn't matter. What I want to do doesn't matter. Is it possible, if things keep going the way they're going, that they might say, hey, we're not coming to school for a while? That's possible. It's the worst case scenario, but it's possible. I just want to make sure you can do all that. If you have any question at all, or have a problem, or need me to do something, I think you can get a hold of me there on that deal. Send a message and I'll. Yes. And I probably won't get back to you quick, but I'll get back to you as soon as I see it or as soon as something happens. But just want to make sure that because we need to be here, because it benefits your life to be here, and I can sleep at night knowing that at least you've been in the room when I'm trying to cram crap in your head, and I can at least sleep at night knowing I've tried. Because people ask me what my job is. My job is to hold horses' heads underwater. I can't make you drink, but I can sure shove your head underwater, and I'll do it as long as I can, as hard as I can. Plus, we have to play football. That has to happen. This has to. I've waited 18 years for this season, so I'm not going to let this go. I'll punch people if they start saying, no, you can't do this. So I might as well go to jail for not doing that. So,
Allison just said she told us not to check it out.
I checked it just now. Okay. I sent her some stuff.
Okay, cool.
I'll tell her. Because that's what. Yeah. All right. So just make sure you have to do that. The quiz Friday or whatever it is. Yeah, y'all is this Friday. I heard y'all say math this week or something. Y'all were talking about a quiz. I thought it was, oh yeah, that was math. It wasn't this one. It's still Fridays. This is the justice system, the court system. We got 3 branches. It's the 3rd one, all right? There are, let me see how this all right, we have a dual court system in America. What's dual mean? There's 2. We have a federal court system, and we have state court systems. And they deal with 2 different things. All right, football and basketball are both sports. 2 different sets of rules, 2 different things, separate, totally separate things. The federal government, federal courts are separate from state courts. And they have federal civil law and federal criminal law. There is state civil law and state criminal law. I don't know if this will be on your deal. Concurrent jurisdiction. What's that word jurisdiction mean?
Jury.
Okay, the word juris is Latin. It has something to do with law. I know that much. I skipped every day of law school. Jurisdiction, jurisprudence, jury, all comes from that Latin word juris. If I got jurisdiction over government. Ms. Helen's got jurisdiction over English. I have no jurisdiction. If Wise County Sheriff is chasing you and you go to Parker County, I skipped every day of law school, right? I don't think Wise County Sheriff can arrest you in Parker County. Parker County Sheriff can arrest you in Parker County, and Wise County can ask Parker County to send them to you because their jurisdiction ends at the Wise County line. Concurrent jurisdiction. What would concurrent jurisdiction mean? Federal government can tax and state governments can tax. That's a concurrent power. So what's concurrent jurisdiction? They both have jurisdiction over it. The Oklahoma City bombing. I was teaching history class that day. We were showing a video, and I popped the tape out. And it was on Channel 3, and Channel 3 was out of Sherman, so there was this fuzzy picture of a blown-up building. That's how I found out about the Oklahoma City deal. It was a federal building. So it was a federal crime, because it took place on federal property. It was a state crime because there was 185 murders. So that was concurrent, that both the state of Oklahoma and the federal government had jurisdiction over that case. Feds went ahead and took it because they had the death penalty because it occurred on federal property. Instead of Oklahoma, they wanted to try 185 trials because it was an emotional deal. Mainly because of the kids that was killed in the daycare. They wanted each person to have their justice. And the Fed said, we're going to do this at one time. So they both had jurisdiction over that deal. That's just an example of concurrent. If you kidnap somebody, that's a federal crime. If you murder somebody, that's a state crime. So if you kidnap and murder somebody, that really, there is some concurrent jurisdiction there. They'll usually go with the one that, you can't try both. Because technically, I skipped every day of law school. It kind of is the same crime. So I don't know that they could try you in federal court for this and in state court for this. They might be able to, but they'll go with whichever one has the best case and get the best punishment. What's up?
It's like kidnapping federal because you could take them across state.
And it used to be, and see, I'm talking on my butt here. It used to be a long time ago, you had to prove they had crossed state lines for the feds to get involved. And they changed it to where if someone is considered kidnapped, all of a sudden the feds can get involved whether it crosses state lines or not. But yeah, that's why it's there. There's extradition. You know what extradition is? Like I said, I was in Parker County, extraditing the criminal to Wise County. There was, several years ago, there was 7 or 9 people that escaped from a prison down by Victoria. And they escaped, they came to Irving, they killed a rookie police officer. Aubrey Hawkins was that guy's name. And you hear about that every once in a while. I think they said it's kind of like an Amber Alert. There's something Aubrey Hawkins deal they've set up. They caught him in Colorado. And so they had to extradite them from Colorado to have the trial. That's not a big deal. Colorado says yes. Parker County says yes. There was a guy, did we talk about the guy in France in here? There was a guy, the guy that murdered okay. There was a guy that murdered his girlfriend in the 70s, and he cut her up and put her in a box and fled. And they had the trial without him. It's called in absentia. How about that for learning? See, I learned something. You can be tried without being there, and it's called in absentia. I guess absentia means absent in Latin. I'm just assuming that. I don't know. I skipped every day of Latin also. It's a good thing to skip. They found him in France. He might still be in France, or he might have died, I don't know, but France would not extradite him because we have the death penalty. So that's when it gets sticky, when you get international crap. That's why in the movies, the drug dealers go to South America because you can't extradite people from South America. They won't do that. So if you want to be a piece of crap and murder somebody, I guess you flee to South America and you're okay. But don't do that, because that means you're a piece of garbage. So there. Control, you didn't say that. I just did. Okay, I just did. And I said to the public, it's out there in the world to see, and I'm not afraid. Bring it. I'm not scared. What are you gonna do? Watch this anyway? I mean, hey, let's watch this video. Some guy talking about judicial branch stuff. Looks interesting. Okay, we got the plaintiff. You know what the plaintiff is?
The guy the guard that.
That's the bailiff.
I don't know.
Very close. The plaintiff is the prosecution. That's not spelled right, but prosecution. Prosecuting, close enough. Prosecuting is what they do. They bring the charges, try to prove guilt. The district attorney, Greg Lowry, is a plaintiff. Hey, you plaintiff! I'm gonna do that next time. Hey, plaintiff! See what he does. Prosecution, the plaintiff, they bring the charges. They try to prove guilt. Greg Lowry is kind of amazing. He's one of those guys like Coach Hicks and like Pacer. Pacer does this. I don't see how. They can sit and they can like cross their legs and like put the other foot on the floor while their legs are crossed. I don't see how you do that. I don't understand how that happens, but They can do that. It's not a skill I want, but they can do that. Defendant. You know what the defendant is? What's the defendant? Person defending themselves, the person being charged. Hope you're never a defendant. Unless you have to be a defendant. Unless you need to be a defendant, then I hope you are. Okay, what else we got? I mentioned civil law and criminal law. Civil law, any court case is a lawsuit. If you rob a bank, then the United States of America versus Jonathan Ryle. Because the United States of America, it's a federal crime to rob a bank, it's federal property, so that's a lawsuit. Civil law is where divorce takes place. Or divorce. Child custody, or if you're suing a company for money. That's in civil court. The punishment is usually 99% of the time is money. I have heard of civil stuff going to jail. If you if you jack up somebody's civil rights, you could go to jail for that. Criminal law, and I thought of something this year to fix that. I don't know. The only thing, it's crimes. If you rob something, if you steal something, if you beat somebody up, that's criminal law. That's separate from civil law. And that's usually jail time, although there will be some fines involved. Precedent. You ever heard the word precedent? Thank you. Precedent is when something's done for the first time that other things copy. Does that make sense? Precedent's been set. Something happens once that other things copy. If you're the first person in your family to go to college, that sets a precedent. If you're the first person to go to jail in your family, that sets another precedent. Hopefully we don't. But it's something happens once and other things follow after it. In my house, I guess I set the precedent of Ryle boys playing and acting like they like football. And when Colt was born, when your kid's born, the movie goes through your head. And what do you think Colt's movie was? What do you think, Ian? What was his movie? When he's born, I look at him. What movie is going through my head? Touchdowns and championships and trophies. That was the movie. All right? No. I'm the director. Okay, cut! He did block for some touchdowns. He did score touchdowns in Pee Wee. He was a quarterback in flag football. He handed the ball to a fast kid, and he did run a bootleg and scored a couple times. Anyway, I set the precedent, and then it followed after that. Colt has played, Pacers played, Titan has played little Pee Wee. We'll see what happens. Last night, see, all three of us are really big on destroying psychologically Titan's will. He needs to be fixed. We got to fix him and have him do, you know what I'm saying? He watches, Mama, because she wants time to breathe and live life and not go crazy, will hand him her phone so she can do like that for 10 seconds. And he watches this weird crap and weird people do weird stuff that Ryles don't need to be a part of, and Ryle boys don't need to act the way they're acting. And we all just jump on it. You can't watch that. You're not going to act like them. We don't do that. And last night we got in his head, and we showed him NFL Rocks because that was and he was like, he was just mesmerized, and that made me feel really good. And Pacer talked to him about something, and all of a sudden he walks up, and he's got these little weights set out, and he has these things up, and he goes, "Dad, I'm going to work out." And I went, "What?" He goes, "Yeah, I want to work out." I think Pacer and Cole have been there telling him, "Yeah, Dad used to try to get us to work out, and we wouldn't, and we really wish we would have, Pacer or Tyler. We really wish he would." So he's in there. He did 102 push-ups yesterday. 102 push-ups yesterday. He was fine. He wanted to do more. I said, "Hey, just relax. We need some more done." But then he said, "Hey, Dad, why don't you do push-ups?" Like, I did it this morning. His elbow is killing me. Anyway, I did some sit-ups with him. So that's the precedent. Let me see if I can do that. All right. I don't know if this is how they describe it. There's district courts. And there's circuit courts. Circuit. That's close. District courts, whether it's state or federal, have original jurisdiction. What would original jurisdiction be? If something's original, what is it? It's the first. So, the state of Texas versus Raleigh. The first court that hears that has original jurisdiction. That's the district courts. So there's Texas District Court number whatever would have Texas versus Raleigh. The circuit courts have appellate. And they misspell it. They don't put an A in here. What word is that appellate coming from? Appeal. What's a court? What is a case on appeal? You redo it. If I'm found guilty, then I'm going to appeal that decision. You got the prosecution, you got the plaintiff, you got the defendant. If I'm found not guilty, what can't happen? They don't get a retrial. They have to prove I'm guilty the first time. Why is that? What would happen if they didn't? What if they could appeal it?
A different jury.
I'd never not be on trial. Because they're going to keep appealing it until I'm found guilty. So to protect innocent people, they have one shot. What if you had one shot? Remember the choir video I showed you? Isn't that funny? The whitest guy in America. The defendant has a chance to appeal. They can appeal a guilty verdict. Is this a weird word to be there? The appeals courts are called circuit courts. What's a circuit? If you've been in ag, what's a circuit? It's a loop, right? Electricity is a circuit. Circuses have a circle. I'll just tell you, because I want to ask a question. In the 1800s, in Texas, is there just a ton of people? Are there huge cities everywhere? So they don't need appeals courts all over the place. Every once in a while, they need an appeals court. So the appeals judge would ride the circuit. They're called circuit riders. They would go out, if this one needed appeal, they'd ride out here and hold court. Then they'd ride over here and they'd hold court. So that's why it's called the circuit. So circuit courts are appellate courts. District courts are original jurisdiction. Does that sound like I know what I'm talking about?
Yes.
It's just so, if you was to go back to Weatherford and tell like my sophomore teachers, man, Ryan talks and knows what he's talking about. They go, what? What do you? It's amazing. Even people in life are gonna grow up and do things. It's amazing that people just grow up and they do stuff, or else they don't eat. So, you find a niche. Let's see, trial court, court of appeals. All right, the Supreme Court. You know what supreme means in Spanish? Did I taught you this one? Supreme. What does supreme mean in Spanish? It means sour cream. Because if you get a taco, no sour cream. Taco supreme, sour cream. Burrito, no sour cream. Burrito supreme, sour cream. What does it mean in Italian? Everything. Because you get a pizza, pizza supreme is everything. Right? That was for free. Supreme Court. This is not an original jurisdiction court. This is an appellate court. So what do you know about it? They don't hear cases first. Well, they're actually not on the circuit. But they get cases on appeal. There is one little tiny situation where they could be, but don't worry about that. That's if you go to law school, you can worry about that one. All right, not in here. The Supreme Court is a court of appeals. They do not. They're like a grand jury. they do not declare guilt or not guilty. The grand jury does not determine guilt or innocence. Listen, the Supreme Court does not determine guilt or innocence. They are going to look at a case. Their only job is to decide if something is constitutional or not. That's their only job. So they look at a case. Texas versus Ryle. Ryle axe murdered 5 people. And I'm claiming, no, I didn't. But your fingerprints were on the axe. Yes, I used the axe to cut trees down, and this guy with gloves came over and grabbed it and chopped down 5 people. Well, the police, they wouldn't look at, did I kill the person or not? They would look at, how was the evidence obtained? And if the cop broke down my door while I'm sitting there watching TV and ran out to my shed and got my axe, then they would say that has to be thrown out. So that's not, the way that trial was conducted is not constitutional. They're not looking at guilty or not guilty. They're looking at, was things done constitutionally or not? So if that happens, they would throw out, they'd overturn my decision. It doesn't mean I'm guilty or not guilty, because I didn't say I'm not guilty. They said you can't do the trial based on that evidence. They'd have to retry me. Does that make sense? So the Supreme Court is not guilty or not guilty. It's about the Constitution or not Constitution. And if they overturn your decision, there has to be a new trial. And in that they found I was guilty because I did go and get the gloves and chop the people down. But yes, I did do these to chop them. I've never killed anybody. And if I'm going to cut down a tree, what am I using? Chainsaw. I'm not using an axe. Okay, that's work. I used to have wood that stuff to pay for car insurance. Let's do that. Let's good stuff. I've never sweated so much in February in my life. Cutting down trees is the hottest thing I've ever done. No, cleaning a frac tank is the hottest thing I've ever done. Plea bargain. You ever heard of a plea bargain? I think I spelled it right. Plea bargain is, sometimes they'll offer you a plea bargain where it means a lesser sentence if you what? If you confess. Or if you cooperate in another case. Say you're a drug dealer, but they want to get the big central drug dealer. You're just a salesman. They'll let you go if you will rat out the big guy. You know? Well, I know somebody personally who, oh my gosh, okay. Don't bet on stuff. Don't bet on stuff. Because all these casinos, are they hurting for money? No. All that stuff they got is because people, they rake in money. They can't keep up with the money they're making. Nobody gets rich at a casino. Right? I know somebody who used to make 18 grand a weekend, and then the next weekend would lose 19 grand. They come back and make 13, they lose 14. You're never going to make money at a casino. But this person would bet on sports all the time. And they actually were betting on the Reds-A's World Series. The Reds were a horrible team, and the A's were the best team in baseball. And they lost the first game. And then my friend rolled it over. Double or nothing on the next game. Double or nothing on the next game. Double or nothing on the fourth game. And the Reds swept the World Series. So instead of paying his debt, my friend ratted out the guy and told the feds and got the guy arrested. And then he was, the next 2 weeks, he was scared to death, thought he was going to get killed. And I'm in there in the room with him. I'm like, oh my gosh, what are you doing? You know, so anyway, a plea bargain, you can get a lesser sentence if you confess, if you help out the feds, if you help out the prosecution. That's a plea bargain. Due process. I've mentioned this before here. What is due process?
Right to a speedy trial.
If you're arrested, it's all the rights you got if you're arrested. The rights of accused. I'm trying to do this. I'm just putting cuss. I don't know. Close. Y'all do it right. Dave says it's right. But what if I did this? I could still say accused. Now, accused. There's accused right there. I like that one. Accused. And I've always said it like this, even though I skipped law school, I think I could teach a class on due process. It's the stuff that can be done to you, the things that can't be done to you, and the things that have to be done to you. I've heard on movies you have to have a phone call. They have to give you a phone call if you're arrested. I love that call. Hey, how's it going? Habeas corpus, we talked about that a while back. You have to be brought before a judge to see if it's okay for you to be arrested. You know, that's what due process is. You are due the legal process. You're owed the legal process. Couple more. Look at that, habeas corpus. This is important. This is Latin. What's corpus?
Body.
Body. This literally means to bring forth the body, present the body. It's not the dead body. They don't want that. They want the person arrested's body presented in front of a judge to see if it's okay for you to be arrested. That's one of the most important rights we got. Habeas corpus. I learned something a few years ago. I knew this one. There are 9 justices on the Supreme Court. There's something called the Rule of 4. If 4 of the justices say we want to hear this case, they'll hear the case. Less than the majority. If they do hear your case, it doesn't mean they're going to make a decision on it. Just because, I don't know what to say. Anyway, back up. Forget I said that. But the Rule of 4, just because they hear your case doesn't mean they'll make a decision. They don't have to make a decision. There is 9 justices. There is a Chief Justice. I might get fired for this. I don't know. This is exciting. I'm right here on TV. It's going out to the world. Do you know what the Chief Justice wears to trial? You know, they have the robes and everything. They put the robes on, and the Chief Justice has this big, huge headdress. They put it on, they come in, they go, hey, hey, because they're the Chief Justice. Yeah, anything? Can you see the Chief John Roberts coming out in some big headdress? That'd be funny, wouldn't it? If I was Chief Justice, I would do that, just to make people laugh, whatever.
Kids cry.
The Chief Justice is not the longest person on the Supreme Court. The Chief Justice, when President Bush was president, died or resigned, and he picked a new person. That brand new person was the Chief Justice. I didn't know. They don't argue with each other. They don't try to convince each other or anything. When they discuss these cases and what they're going to decide, they all have a few minutes just to say what they think, and they don't backtalk each other and say, well, you're an idiot, or why would you? They don't argue with each other or try to persuade each other to change. They just talk, and then they vote. Which I didn't, there's a lot of respect there. Even if you don't agree with them, there's still a lot of respect there from the most liberal to the most conservative. What's her name? Ginsburg, the one that died recently. Her and Justice Alito were best pals. They'd have lunch together and they'd talk. And they're polar opposite mindsets. He was very conservative. She was very liberal. But they were able to hang out and talk and discuss things and get along. So, let's see. President appoints him. Who has to say yes or no to him? Senate. That's right. Let's see what else we got. I might stop here. I'll clap if you want me to stop. Liars? Yeah, we'll stop there. Do some more Thursday. It's a good and bad. We'll stop today, that's good, and then we'll do more Thursday. Did you learn anything today? Tell me one thing you learned.
Pellet.
A pellet, yeah, pellet gun. And I don't know why they did it AP. I don't know why they put the A on for a pellet. Latin. They taught Latin in Van Alstyne when I coached there. What a Latin teacher.
3 years of Latin in my own school.
If you are medical or lawyer stuff, that would be good. Take some Latin. E pluribus unum.
Out of one many.
Out of one many. Out of many one. Is that right? Can I take a hold? In the past, I had a student that was told they had to leave and go home, and I was asked 3 questions. What the questions were? Were they wearing a mask? Were you wearing a mask? And then 4 questions. Who sat by them? Were they wearing a mask? And if you answer yes to all that, everything's good. If an answer is no to that, one of those, then you have to start doing some other stuff. So that's the reason why to do this, so there's not other stuff. Not that it does anything, but that you don't have to do stuff. Like I like this, do this. Look at me. How ridiculous is this? They start to look mysterious and I wonder if you're happy or sad. Here you just layer and just won't be welder. Oh, I guess I'll turn it on.